for this one, I'm going to be using kind of a specialty drop B tuning. Real kind of just simplified B. It's kind of like an old Tool tuning. Basically, we're just going to take this E, drop that down to the B, and just leave everything else the same. So I guess you could kind of look at that like we're doing like a 7-string tuning, but we just leave out the low E string. At any rate, we'll just end up with a low B, so just take that, drop it all the way down, and then you can check your tuning with that by just on the A string here, 2nd fret. Okay, that's what you're looking for, because we're keeping the other strings the same. A, D, G, B, E, B, A, D, G, B, E. And with this one, go ahead and get plenty of gain on there, get a nice delay on there maybe. Dump on the reverb because we just want a real kind of like super ambient vibe here. And with this one, the initial progression, big kind of E5, E flat 5 that we're doing here. So we'll want this 4 on the B, and then we do basically an octave now at the 6 on the A, and then we want this 8 on the D. And with this one, the strum on it, it's just kind of a real like loose, slow shuffling strum. So I like to do something like just a hit, little hesitation, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just really keep an ear to the drums and just kind of follow like the bass and snare with the drums. Doesn't really matter down or up strum, just kind of get that loose shuffling vibe there. And I'll keep that kind of same feel for the different chords here. From there, we want this B major 7, and pretty neat with that, all we do is just lift off the low B to open, and we keep that same 6 and 8 there, 6A, 8D. And if you're getting tired of like having to do it like that, you can just shift over and do it like that. It's up to you. I just think it's kind of cool to just lift off and you have it. But same kind of strum there. And then we go to this would be like an E6 without the 3rd. We're going to do octaves again, which here would just be 5B on the low B, and then a 7 on the A. Okay, just octaves. And then I kind of just skip the D. I just keep it muted. Your index finger is probably just lightly touching it, or your ring finger is lightly touching it, so you can just kind of keep that muted. Okay, and then we want this 6 on the G. Okay. Same kind of strum here. All right, and every other time that we do the progression, we start it just the same with the first 2 chords, get into that E6 look, the 5, 7 with the 6 here, but every other time we kind of switch the ending a little bit. Instead of just staying on that, once we get to like that final strum of 4, instead of doing it there, we just take that 6G and make it a 6B now. Alright, it's kind of a cool little dissonant thing every other time we do the progression at the end. And then there's just some kind of slight variations that we can do with this, where it'll start it just the same, the 4, 6, and 8. And I think this is like every 3rd time or something we do the progression, but just take that 8 and just give it this real slow bend as we're strumming it, and just release it. Okay, so definitely you got to be cool with some pinky stretching here. Then we'll just lift off as usual. You can shift if you like to the open with the 6 and 8. And with this one, we kind of give it a few strums like that, but then we really emphasize this kind of mid octave here, the 6 on the A. So we just keep the open with the 6 A there. So we went. There's just kind of a slight emphasis on that note there, so I just kind of dropped that 8 on the D. And then we would just finish it the same with the 5, 7, and the 6 here. E. Alright. And other than that, we get to kind of, you know, the chilled out version, like the verse, and it's more just like an arpeggiated thing. The initial one is we're just picking through that first shape, the 4, 6, and 8 here. And basically you would pick the 4B, 6A, 8D, and then we just go back and forth between the 6A, 8D a couple times, back to the 6A. Okay, so we went. Alright, then we just lift off for the open low B, and then here we kind of shift over a little bit. We want just a straight up like B major thing. So just do the open, the 6A, and then we want a 9 instead of our 8 on the D. So, and we pick through that just like we did the previous one. Alright, and then we throw in a new chord, an A flat sus4, which here, basically you can just kind of stay at the 6 here and just keep them barred. The initial run through, you just got to worry about like the A string down to G string. But then we want this 9 on the low B here. So again, a little bit of a pinky thing you need to be cool with. And we pick it the same way, but we skip the D string and use the G string instead. And we're just doing 6s on the A and the G. So we would go 9 low B, 9 A, 6A, skip the D, go to 6G, go back and forth between the 6A, 6G a couple times to the 6A. So it'd be. Alright, and we would do that, this last little bit here, we do that twice. Alright, and repeat those 3 chords just like that. But the final run through, I think it's maybe like the 4th time we go through the whole thing. We do this bit where we're going to want to basically bar all the 6s on the A string down. And we do the same 9, 6A, 6G, 6A, 6G, 6A, 6G. But here, instead of going back to the 6A, we come up and we hit this barred 6 on the high E. Alright, and then we just pick down through the 9B, 6A, 6G, 6 high E, do that twice. Okay, so probably the trickiest chord in the whole song right there. But you go through it just like that. Alright, so get those hands all strengthened up, get that pinky ready to rock, and you should be able to go. After you get that, it just kind of gets right back into the heavy section again. It kind of repeats it just as we did in the first section. So once you get that, you pretty much got the whole song ready to rock.